Look, if you live in California and you're in a relationship and you're the only person working, actually like at a job, physically working, it's just not going to work out. You need 2 jobs. You need 2 people working in this economy for it to work. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but we gotta do what we gotta do. And unless you're marrying a basketball player or a doctor or something like that, you both gotta work.
Became, I don't know another word, but bitter, right? Like, oh, well, when I get my own, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna be independent and I don't need a man, right? So then women started to go to colleges, right? They started to go to colleges, they started to get their degrees and started entering the workforce. They started getting corporate jobs. They started getting managerial jobs. They started getting, whatever jobs in leadership. And so they were thriving off that independence. And they were like, I'm never going to be in a situation like my mama was. I'm never going to be in a situation like my auntie was. I'm never going to be like that. Yeah, they were getting cheated on. Now I don't have to do that. And so they've established themselves as like, I'm the head of the household. I'm the boss, right? So then when men who want to come in with good intentions come in and they're like, wait a minute, where's my space? Like how could I come and make your life better if you're so independent and you're already strong and you already got everything? So what am I going to do? So then they've retreated back and they date women who are white. Yeah,
so
women who are.
Are you talking about back then or are you talking about now?
I think we're seeing the residuals of what's happening.
Okay, so that makes sense.
I think that they've become so, like, think about the circa like 1989, 1990. You have like women of color who are strong and independent, like, I'm gonna do this and I don't need that and I'm not putting up with that, because they're traumatized after watching their mothers, their grandmothers, their aunties struggle. So now they've established themselves as the head of the household. Men come in wanting, like, some with bad intentions, but some with good intentions, wanting to partner with them, or some wanting to like take their role as what we all agree is the head of the household.
Right.
But then there's no space for them, so then they go elsewhere, or they choose to be independent. You know what I mean? And so now you have the masculine and you have the feminine pointing the finger at each other constantly of, well, you started it, and you started it. Right. When in reality, we just need to have a conversation like this, that's comprehensive, that's dynamic, and that we can actually come to understand and talk about the history. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and until we can have these conversations and we talk about where it comes from and stop pointing the finger like, oh, men have it worse or women have it worse, we're never going to get anywhere.
And I'm glad she mentioned history, because I came across a video of a woman going over this, and I can tell you right now, the women are not going to like who the finger is being pointed at. Let's get into it. What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Ron, back with another video. If you're new to the platform, welcome to the tribe. By the end of this video, I hope you subscribe. So I got a video of a woman going over how feminism killed the economy. I haven't watched this in full, but as soon as I saw that label on the video, I was kind of like, maybe like the first 10, 20 seconds going in, I was like, oh, okay. I think I already see where she's going to go with this. And I've kind of gone over this quite a few times on the channel, but maybe hearing it from a woman's perspective might actually be a little bit more digestible for the women that feel so entitled to have a man just pay for everything, or the ones that have no idea of how the economy or money works, or the amount of men, let alone people, regardless of gender, that are even making the kind of money where they can just sit at home and literally do nothing. Anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it.
Here's how feminism messed up the U.S. economy and how it's actually now come back to bite modern women in the butt. Let's rewind. The modern feminist movement kicked off in the 1960s. The goal was fair wages, equal opportunities, and legal protection. Great, right? They told us that the first wave gave us the right to vote, and the second wave brought us into the workforce. Here's where it gets a little bit sticky. During the second wave, the message shifted. It wasn't just, you can work outside the home. It became, you should, or you must if you want to be respected. Doing nothing but staying home and cooking and cleaning and raising children, that was suddenly less than. So women flooded the workforce around this time. They were told they would get more financial freedom, more independence, and of course, more respect. But when millions of women started working full-time, it didn't just change individual families, it changed the entire economy. Suddenly, 2 incomes weren't just nice, they were expected. And that's where we get into the 2-income trap. This is a book written by Elizabeth Warren, who is not exactly a conservative voice, but she actually articulates this situation beautifully in her book, The Two-Income Trap. She argues that when both parents started working, the cost of living adjusted. Homes in good school districts, prices went up. Childcare, through the roof. Everything from health insurance to groceries inflated to match dual income spending power. So now we've created this world where it takes two full-time incomes to just be able to afford the same lifestyle one income covered in 1960. Feminism told women and even sold them the idea that they were breaking free. But for a lot of women, especially moms, it feels more like a trap. Because now the choice to stay home with your kids isn't even on the table for many families. So many women would love to be able to be homemakers and clean the house and cook and take care of their kids, and they can't. Because what used to be a respected and even honored role of homemaker, caregiver, mother got dismissed. Feminism lied to us and told us that success only looked like climbing the corporate ladder and competing with men. But we traded in something priceless: time with our children, peace in our own homes, and even financial flexibility. So while women were told you should do it all, what we ended up with is exhaustion, rising debt, and a system that only works if you're always working outside your house. The very movement that claimed to be liberating women made it nearly impossible to live on one income. And I'm sorry, but that is not empowering. Turns out that there's a real price to pay when a society stops valuing motherhood. When caregiving is treated as invisible labor and homemakers are seen as less than, everybody actually loses, especially women. Not just emotionally or in the family structure, we could talk about that forever, but economically as well. So no, I'm sorry, feminism didn't save women. It told us we need to do it all, and now our generation is paying the price for it.
And before some goofy ass female try to figure out a way, try to spin this on men and said, well, it's your fault because y'all the one that gave us the rights. Let's keep in mind how women act when they tend not to get what they want before you sit over here and say some goofy ass shit like that. But she is 100% correct about the history of it. And I remember going over this a while ago. And I think this is something that a lot of women that talk, this provider shit and shame 50-50. This is one of the things that they really don't know about the history of the economy due to feminism. When dual income became a thing, they had to find a way to capitalize off of that. And you do that by what? Making everything more expensive. So much so that the two income household is more of a necessity more than it is a luxury. See what I'm saying? And this is one of the reasons why I'm telling you, bro, this is one of those things where women can actually benefit from watching RP content, because femininity content, the lifestyle content, all the other female contents and spaces, they're not going to tell you about the history like this in this detail to understand exactly how did we get to where we are now as far as the economy goes. And if women understood this more, then maybe they can at least get a better sense of why it seems so hard for so many women to find a guy that can afford to pay for everything. But when it comes down to it, I think, unfortunately for these women, and due to so many influences, especially social media in particular, man, that hypergamy has been amplified to a point where we might be at the point of no return. And it might take a drastic reset in order for things to get right again. Because I don't think you're going to see any kind of a change. Because if you do see a change that's too much of the benefit for the people, then guess who's going to be struggling and not benefiting so much? The system, aka the government. But never mind. I'll save that for another topic. Anyway, let's continue.
What do you think about the 50-50 conversation?
50-50. I promote it all the time because, again, I'm very petty. And, women said all the time that they can handle this and they can handle that. Okay, I'm going to treat you like a man. You come into the business site, I expect you to do exactly what I do. If I'm working, you working. If I'm cleaning, you cleaning. right? If I'm buying food, you buying food. That's 50-50. Women fought for that. Y'all was like, we want to go to work every day and make money like you.
That is true.
Y'all wanted that. Boss babe, I take care of myself. I handle my, which by the way, you just glorifying being an adult, by the way. But whatever.
Yeah.
You guys fought for these things. So it doesn't make sense for you to then kind of redact and want to just morph and change this It's very aggravating because I know instinctually what you desire. Like we all know as men, we know instinctually what they desire.
Yeah.
But we have to play this game, this almost like we're putting on a costume, ironically, and pretend as if that's not real. But then low key, text in, low key in the room. That's when the shift happens.
Okay.
That's when the magic happens.
It's all energy.
It's all energy.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. But you know, women, you reap what you sow. You created this You know, you created this Again, I'm very petty. I promote the 50-50 because I know you don't like it. I push the 50-50 because I know eventually you're going to go, I'm tired.
Now, me personally, I promote 50-50 because I grew up seeing it and I know for a fact that it works. And I think it is more beneficial, in my opinion, to women as opposed to being the traditional stay-at-home wife. And my main reason is not because I think that it's a better situation per se for the family as a whole, because ideally it would be nice for mothers to just stay home and not have to work. However, I think for today's women, the women who want to be seen as more than just a mother and a wife and things of that nature, 50-50 is your best option. I hate to say it, but it's true. And honestly, in my opinion, I think it's the cheat code for being able to build generational wealth. And down the line, when y'all get older and, somebody gets sick or somebody ends up passing away, at least whoever is still living is not going to be left with nothing, and they're going to be okay because y'all spent all those years building together. And I'm speaking from experience from seeing my parents do this. I mean, my father just passed 2023, and my mom is about to turn 70 the 30th of this month. I just turned 40. And my mom is getting, and me and her done had that conversation after my father passing about, who's going to do what with the house and what have you. But, my mom may have to worry about shit because her and my dad built shit. They were building the whole time they were together. 46 and a half years, man. All right, you got guys out here paying for everything and they can't even survive 4 years, let alone 46. But anyway, I want to show you this next video of surprisingly a white guy over here talking about how black people have been held down from not being able to build generational wealth as far as the economy goes. Wanted to share it with you guys, and then another video after that, then we're going to close it out. Let's get into it.
Because think about it this way. White people didn't undergo 250 years of slavery and its aftermath. White people didn't suffer through racial segregation. White people didn't have a government that restricted their ability to own property, open a business, or own a bank account to grow generational wealth for their children and their children's children. White people didn't have to go through these things. So if we were just to ignore the fact that black people in America had to go through all of these things that have now systemically disadvantaged them even today, and we were instead to say, ignore one's race and treat everybody the same, well then all of a sudden black people will continue to be disparaged. Imagine if you were playing a game of Monopoly with your friends, the banker for whatever reason really fucking hated you. He only gave you $10, gave everyone else $50, right? Then Mr. Jesus 2.0, man of equality, walks in and he says, well, I understand that you've been disadvantaged. I have the option to now give you an additional $40 to account for the fact that the banker kind of cheated you out of $40 to begin with. But instead, I'm just going to continue to treat you the same way I'm going to treat everybody else. Well, then all of a sudden, you're still experiencing a disadvantage today. And when we talk about programs or legislation to say target Black Americans or target Indigenous Americans, it aims to serve to fix the consequences of systemic forms of oppression in which have disadvantaged Black Americans or Indigenous Americans historically, which has perpetuated negative consequences that exist today for Black Americans or Indigenous Americans that don't exist for white Americans.
I agree with you. You know, we pushed them back. We held them down for so long. And, you know, whenever we finally was like, all right, you know, you can do whatever you want, they were down so low that it's hard to get up. I understand that. And I understand that we need to pay a little price, but, you know, the question's going to come in, when does it stop?
Because think about it this way. White people...
In my opinion, I think the only way it is going to stop is if we take the advice of the guy that I'm going to show you in this next video, because I've been saying something similar for a long time now. It really is the cheat code, bro. Check this out.
So today we're going to talk about a more ideal dating model than traditional for Black people, because the traditional dating system was built on white wealth and government handouts that excluded us, right? So this means regardless of what we pick, 50-50, 100-0, none of those are going to work because Black people experience economic theft, unpaid labor, and social instability at higher rates. So we need a system that prioritizes fairness, stability, and collective power in a relationship. So I call this the Black legacy model. It's a framework designed to counteract systemic barriers, redistribute labor fairly, and build generational wealth for us. Because Black love can't thrive under a system that wasn't made for us. So here's the first core pillar: financial partnership. It's not who pays what. Here's why the traditional model fails. Black men have been locked out of wealth building, right? Redlining, mass incarceration, job discrimination, and Black women had to work and run households, double labor with no recognition, and that wasn't sustainable, right? White couples succeed because they inherit assets. Black people often inherit struggle. Here's where the legacy model fixes it: income-based contributions. Whoever makes more pays more without resentment, period. That's the end of that discussion. Economic flexibility. If one partner is in career building mode, the other one provides stability, but the goal is long-term balance, right? Asset accumulation over consumption, right? Stop the paycheck to paycheck cycle, prioritize home ownership, investments, in life insurance, but financial transparency and education. Talk about money openly. No more financial secrets or struggling in silence, right? No one should feel like a provider or a burden. We are building together, right? This is a building together. The second pillar is the redistribution of labor, fairness over gender roles, right? Here's why the traditional roles fail Black couples. Black women do more unpaid labor, housework, childcare, emotional labor, even when they work full-time. Black men are expected to financially provide even when the system puts them at a disadvantage, right? That kind of creates an emotional tension. But here's how the Black legacy model resolves this. Labor is shared, not assigned by gender. If you live there, you clean there. If you eat, you cook sometimes. Emotional labor is recognized and reciprocated, right? So if she listens to your struggles, listen to hers. If he needs reassurance, give it too. It really is just about helping each other. No one partner is overworked while the other coasts. Balance is what creates longevity. It is not your feelings. Right, and this is also another thing, that childcare is a partnership, not a favor. A father isn't a babysitter, he's an equal parent. We got to start actually just talking about the level of accountability we need to have given how far we've, gotten. The third pillar is community and family investment. This is the village approach, right? Here's where the American model failed us. White families accumulate wealth through generational support, right? Inheritance, business connections, housing assistance, right? But Black couples are expected to do everything alone, often while supporting extended family, right? The reverse. Here's how we fix this. Okay, family and community support. Raising kids ain't just on the parents, grandparents, aunties, and trusted friends contribute. Group economies, pulling money for investments, real estate and business ventures, right? Elder and childcare strategies. Instead of relying on expensive outside help, Black families can create in-home support systems, right? If we move like a community, we stop struggling like individuals. If we move like a community, we'll stop struggling like individuals. Do you get it? And here's the fourth pillar: career and business flexibility, wealth over wages. Here's why 9 to 5 keeps us stuck, right? Black people are paid less for the same work, promoted slower, and less likely to inherit the business, right? We have the work till you die mentality, and it keeps Black men and women exhausted with no long-term gain. Here's the truth, right? Instead of just working jobs, Black couples should build businesses and assets together, right? Skill-based labor sharing. If one person is great at managing money and the other person is great at networking, both contribute in ways that build wealth. Career growth without straining the relationship. One partner should never feel like their dreams are a financial risk to the family. That should never happen. A Black couple should be a wealth building team, right? Not just two people trying to pay bills together, right? But not every city supports Black couples equally. Okay, so some places have better opportunities, lower costs, more Black wealth potential, right? So Atlanta, Charlotte, Houston, DC, Detroit. You got options. Like you can actually pull this off, right? But there are some cities that are really bad for black couples to try to develop in and resist systemic barriers, like New York, San Francisco, LA, Boston. The environment you build in matters, right? Choose a city that allows you to thrive, not survive. Because black couples aren't surviving, right? Like we can talk about how black couples aren't thriving, but if I point out a dead animal on the side of the road and complain that he's not thriving, what were my expectations? So here's the final blueprint, how the Black legacy model works in action. Build an economic partnership first, right? Romance second. Money stress kills relationships. Get on the same page financially early, right? Balance labor fairly. No one should be overworked. Household chores, child care, emotional labor should be distributed, not dumped on one person. Create financial safety nets. Life insurance, emergency savings, multiple streams of income. This is just to avoid survival mode, right? Like, this is just so y'all calm down. Ownership, entrepreneurship, and group economics keep us struggling forever, right? But we need to prioritize long-term wealth over that short-term struggle and really build a community that supports your relationship. Relationships thrive when they aren't isolated, right? So find like-minded black couples, invest in networks, create spaces where black love is nurtured and not drained. Black love is an investment, not just a feeling. And I think that's something our community never considered. They never understood that when you're participating in black love, right? And I'm just meaning this from the bottom of my heart. You are investing in the survival of our community, of our ethnic group, of our race, of our journey, of our bloodlines. That's what you're doing. And it's that significant. That's why it's a power move. The American dating model was never built for us. So let's just build one, right? The Black legacy model ensures that both partners gain from the relationship instead of being overworked or used, right? This isn't about who pays the bills. It's about making sure neither of us are struggling, because a black couple really isn't just a love story. It's just a power move. Right?
Now, did he crack the code for the 50-50 conversation? No, not really. He didn't say anything too profound that me, myself, or other people that cover this topic or even in this space have mentioned. I do want to cover one of the points that he made that kind of stood out, because one of the things that women try to claim is that the men that want 50-50 still want women to do 100% of the household chores, for one, and take care of the kid 100%, for one. That is a fallacy. That is not true whatsoever. Women just use that as an excuse to not want to go 50-50 because they don't want to spend their damn money. That's the fuck why. Get the fuck out of here, bro. I know guys that are in relationships that are cooking and cleaning more than they wife, because both of them happen to be busy, or she might just, or her business is just a little different and might require her to spend more time at work or whatever the case may be. I don't want to hear this shit, bro. For real. It's just like he said, man. It comes with the same as the financial situation. Whoever makes more pays more. Whoever is at home more, take care of home more. It's really easy to balance this shit out, man. This is why I tend to say just do what works for you, because everybody's situation ain't gonna be different. Everybody ain't making six figures. Everybody ain't making 90, 80, 70, or even 50. All right. So, it just, like I say, pick who fits. That's like, if there's any advice that I can give, pick who fits. Y'all let me know what y'all thought about this. If you're new to the platform, please subscribe. OGs, I appreciate the love and support. Make sure y'all hit that bell notification. That way y'all know what I'm uploading. Hit the like button, because it helps with the algorithm and helps me reach a broader audience. Also, look out for the travel vlog channel as well as the live channel. Both links are in the description. Until the next video, y'all. Deuces.